Blessings and greetings unto you, my brothers and sisters, to Yahushua HaMashiach, or Yeshua, and blessed be the Holy One of Israel, the Mighty One of YAH. Blessings unto you in all creation, all the birds of the air, the fowls of the air, the beasts of the field, all the creeping things, and all creation in the air, the earth, the water, and fire. I am commissioned, and the Holy Spirit has put it upon my heart. And the Holy Spirit, she said, Raphael, I want you to share a couple of your testimonies with the people so they understand how the Father works and how the enemy works and how loving YAH is, how loving God is, no matter how wretched and unworthy we are here on the earth. No matter what heaven you had come from or fallen from, we are all unworthy of the Father's love here, but nevertheless, that's why we're in need of our Holy Parent. For our Holy Parent, God, is all good and all loving and all kind. And I'll give you two examples. The first one starts out in Grand Junction, Colorado. I was not perfect at this time, but nevertheless, the Father can work through those who are not perfect. As Yahushua HaMashiach worked through all those who are not perfect, he told them, by your faith you have been healed, not because I am the Son of God, but because your faith in the Most High. This has healed you. And if you have children, I'm going to tell the truth. And in this world they say swear words and bad things. So please keep your little ones away from this, or if your little ones, or if you want them to hear the truth, then I'll share the truth. Here we go. The first one starts out, my friend, her name is Sydney, and she has breast cancer. And go ahead and say it, Raphael. The morning of her biopsy, she says, will you meet with me, Raphael? Will you come to the cancer treatment pavilion there in Grand Junction, Colorado, by St. Mary's Hospital? I say, yes, Sydney, I will. And then I meet her there. She said, Raphael, my husband took hot coffee, he threw it in my face, and he said, I hope you fucking die of cancer, bitch. And he threw this hot coffee in her face, and he told her that. He said, I hope you effing die, you B-I-C-T-H of cancer. And then he threw the hot coffee in her face before she went there for the biopsy. That whole day I had read, and so I stayed by her side and I prayed the whole time they put her under for the biopsy, and it came out that she had cancer. So they put her under for surgery into the hospital, and she asked me to stay by her side, so I did. And I stayed in the waiting room and I just kept praying for her and praying for her. The next day, when they had transferred her over to the hospital, they were amazed because her tumor was gone. When they went to cut out her tumor, it wasn't there anymore. Her cancer was totally gone, and they were stunned and amazed. I wasn't perfect at that time. I would go clubbing and drink alcohol and smoke cigarettes and smoke weed sometimes. But you know what? God still answered my prayers, and he still healed her miraculously and astonishingly of her cancer. She wasn't perfect either. She was addicted to coffee and cigarettes, but God healed her. And I know he healed her through my prayers, because she asked for me to be by her side and to pray for her. That's what she said, pray for me, Raphael. And I prayed for her with all my heart, and she was healed. Later on, her husband apologized to her, and she got back together with her husband. I didn't understand these things at the time, but I'm bearing them to you now from my heart, from the Father and from the Most High Father and Mother's heart, from Yahushua HaMashiach, holy Yahushua's heart. For I am not my own, I belong unto the Most High. I belong unto Yod He Vav He, Yod He Vav Jin Hayin, Jin Kaf Nun Yod He. And blessed be our God, for our God is one and eternal, and the greatest to be praised. Blessed be our God. Now I will share the next testimony. There was a man named Ray. The Holy Spirit said, you can call him as he is, Raphael. There was a son named Ray. Yes, a son, like the sun you see in front of us now. There was a son named Ray. He had cancer in every organ, and then in his brain. And one day, the Holy Spirit, I was on my way to go work out at the gym. It wasn't perfect at this time, but it was around the sunrise. And I looked down from this bridge in Wilton Manors, or Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And I saw this little boy curled up underneath the bridge. The Holy Spirit said, help him. I said, all right, I will, if so I go to work out and the gym was closed. So I asked the Holy Spirit, I said, what do you want me to do? The Holy Spirit said, go help him, Raphael. Offer him a place to live and get him some food or something to eat, something to drink. So I saw this little boy sleeping there, and then I asked the Holy Spirit, I said, please have him awake when I go back, because I don't want to wake him up, So as I go there, he awoke and he was smoking a cigarette. So I jumped down from the bridge down to where he was at, and then I was like, whoa, I was amazed, because this little boy was 7'2", and I am only about 5'11", maybe 6'1", or 6'1" with my shoes on. Anyway, he was a giant, but the Father was not evil or mean to him. The Holy Spirit wasn't either. So I asked him, I said, his name was Will, like God's will. So I said, can I offer you some breakfast or something? He said, yeah. And then, so he walked with me to my house. And I found out his mother had passed away from cancer. And then he knew that I was going to take care of this old man. His name was Ray. So I would walk and take the bus across town to a different place in Florida. It would take me hours to get there. And Ray would smoke cigarettes, and at this time I would smoke cigarettes, and me and him would do our best to quit. We'd quit for like 2 weeks, and then one of us would mess up. So then we'd get a pack, and then we'd crush them all and throw them away and do our best to quit again, and God would help us. And all that I did, I told Ray, I looked at him one day. I said, God knows, and I know, you don't want to die of cancer, do you, Ray? He put his head down and looked at me in the eyes. He said, no, Raphael. Cancer killed my mother, and I want to overcome cancer because it killed my mother. I said, I know. God knows you're hoping this, Ray. And I said, you'll overcome cancer. God will heal you. And he smiled bright. And Will told me, he said, that old man's going to die, Raphael. You can't save him. The cancer went into his brain, and when the cancer went into my mother's brain, she died in less than 3 weeks. I knew it was a death sentence. Now with Ray, the Holy Spirit had me do something a little different. See, each person is different to God in a different case. God doesn't make clones, and he doesn't make copies of robots, because God is awesome and he makes masterpieces. Yes, we are created anew in Yahushua HaMashiach as the masterpiece of the Most High. Now with Ray, the Father had me make shepherd's pie. So I would go to the store at the right time. I'd buy all the best ingredients, and I mean the best, with all my love and all my heart. And I would cook it with all my love. I would make that shepherd's pie for Ray, so that when I wasn't there, he could take it out of his freezer or fridge and then heat it up so he would have much better food than the TV dinners. Because I made it with love. I didn't make it for money. I made it for love. And I cared about him with all my heart. And I put his name on the prayer rolls for other saints to pray for him, and I would pray for him too. I wasn't perfect at this time. God knows this. But I did have a heart, and I prayed with all my heart, and God answered my prayers. And Ray was healed completely of cancer in every single one of his organs and his brain, and the doctors were astounded. And then Ray knew he was healed, but he went back to his old lifestyle where he wanted me to take him to the bars. And then the Holy Spirit said, now your time is done here, Raphael. God will not allow you to work with him anymore. But that doesn't mean God was mad at him. See, when God heals you miraculously, you can do whatever you want, because God's not like people. God will heal you, so you could turn your back on God and say, F you, God. Thank you for healing me. Now I'm going to party it up. And you know what? God will still love you. He will love you with all his heart. But that means that something will happen to you. So I was supposed to help him Christmas Eve, he was going to fly from Florida to Nova Scotia. And he had told me, he said, my family only cares about me, Raphael, because I have money and I own a couple businesses in Canada. I love you too, Sarah. I own a couple businesses in Canada, shoe stores. And me, I was like, oh, okay. See, Ray wasn't paying me money to help him. I was doing this in the kindness of my heart and because we were friends. And I learned a lot from him. He told me, he said, never go the same way home, Raphael. He said, because they want to kill you too, son. See, there's more than one son in the sun, in case you didn't know, my brothers and sisters. That's why it says the sons of God, because God has many sons. See the 3 doves flying there? And they'll go through the sun, and then, anyway. So, I learned a lot from Ray, and then, go ahead and say it, Raphael. The day before Christmas Eve, my phone rang, and Ray called me. He said, I'm sorry, Raphael, I want to give God all the glory. He said, God bless you, Raphael. And the Holy Spirit, and then he hung up the phone, and the Holy Spirit said, now that he's given God all the glory, the devil will murder him now, Raphael, because he did that. I said, can I go to his house to see him or to help him or that? And the Holy Spirit said, no, Raphael, you are commanded to stay in your home, and you do not go over there. For 7 days, I didn't hear anything. And then on the 7th day, my neighbors knew him too. I was opening my door, bringing groceries into my apartment, and one of my neighbors, another son, but this is not like a son like the son in front of us. This is like a fallen, an angel that hadn't come back to God yet. We'll put it that way. He said, did you hear what happened to Ray, Raphael? I said, no, I didn't. He said they found him murdered in his house. And then immediately my cell phone rang, and it was Ray's number calling me. And me, I'm like, what's going on, God? What the heck? So I answered the phone. I said, hello? And it was Ray's sister. He had told me about his sister. She had lived in Miami. She said, my sister's like ice cold, Raphael. And I feel the only... he basically told me I have nothing to do with her. Her heart is cold. She called me. She said, you're the last number that spoke with my brother, and we have messages of you calling him and praying for him. And then I said, so is it true your brother was murdered? She said, yes. And the sun was blue. It was crystal blue, not a cloud in the sky like today. The Holy Spirit knew I would bear my testimony today. And immediately I started crying when she told me her brother was murdered. And the whole sky turned black and started raining and thundering and lightning. And I told God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, God, because I knew, because I got that upset that the whole sky would turn black and thunder and lightning. Because that's what happens when I get upset. I don't understand it. That's what happened when Maggie died. It thundered and lightning all night long. And my mother called me from Salt Lake City, Utah. I was in Arizona. She said, oh my goodness, Raphael, it thundered and lightning all night long. I said, yes, because I was crying all night long, and God was crying with me. Because when we are afflicted, the Most High is afflicted. When we are comforted, the Most High is comforted. When we are blessed, the Most High is blessed. And I hope that you will remember this, my brothers and sisters, and my enemies, my friends. I bless you as one and one through YAH HaMashiach. And then her heart cracked, Ray's sister. That ice cracked, because she saw a total stranger named Raphael loved her brother more than she did. And her heart cracked, and his spirit said, thank you, Raphael. And then the phone was cut off, and I never spoke to her or heard anything about that again. And I mourned and I grieved for him for over a year. But I will share his testimony now, because now is the appointed time. And I want you to know, my brothers and sisters, no matter what happens to you, no matter who is against you, if God is for you, if Jehovah El Elyon is for you, no one can successfully be against you. Through YAH HaMashiach, I seal this in blood. Amen.